Hey, let's talk about money. It's money month. It's still money month. All month here at the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce. We are very excited to be talking about money because, like it or not, money kind of makes the world go around, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does. And we've been talking about some very strategic things money wise, some very 30,000 foot view sort of things. We've talked about crypto a little bit about NFTs. We talked a little bit about real estate and real estate opportunities in particular for veterans, military family members, and some changes that were taking place in the state of Wisconsin about eligibility for VA loans. So if you missed that one, you're going to want to go back. All these live on in perpetuity on our YouTube channel. So you're going to want to go back and watch that because it's a good one. We've been talking about money all month. But what we haven't talked about is real nuts and bolts, meat and potatoes, nitty gritty, down and dirty, tactical money tips. Things that you can do in the here and now to put more money in your pocket, to maybe build your savings, your rainy day fund a little bit more effectively. The tactical things you can do right now to better your financial standing. Should you take your stimulus payment and go buy a car? No, that's probably not smart. Should you cut your cable and get Netflix instead? Maybe. Tactical, like right now things. And we brought an expert. Matt Fischer is a veteran. He works with our friends at WaterStone Bank, whom we love and adore. And we're going to talk today about a couple things. We're going to talk about tactical, like no joke advice, things that you can do to better your financial standing right now. Put more money in your pocketbook. Start building that savings account. Why aren't you saving money? You gotta save that money. You feel like you're strapped and you can't do it? Well, we're going to give you some tips. And we're also going to talk about WaterStone Bank. They have this MVP program, which is really good for veterans and military families, which will also save you some money and give you a good opportunity to work with a great group of folks. So we're going to get into all of that and more right after this. Here we go. Let's talk about money. You don't want to hear me talk about money. Let's bring in an expert. Matt, my friend, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Adam. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So you are currently in your office in Wauwatosa, you said? Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Yep, right down the road, Wauwatosa. Well, we appreciate you being here today. You're a veteran of the Army National Guard, if I'm not mistaken, or you're currently serving in the Army National Guard. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Awesome. And you've been with WaterStone Bank for a few years, and you are a guy that is passionate about helping people with their money.
Yeah, I guess you could say that's part of the job. Just trying to educate people on different ways to get more of their dollar, see how far you can stretch a dollar, and just ways to kind of help people out in general.
Now, is that something that's always been of interest to you? I mean, were you, I'm always interested to hear how people end up where they're at right now. Because I had a very interdisciplinary life and career growing up. I could have never predicted as a kid that I'd be doing what I'm doing now. There's no way. So I'm always curious. Did you grow up saying, like, I want to be an Army National Guardsman and I'm going to work with money?
Yeah, probably not. If you had asked me 10, 15 years ago what I wanted to do, this would not have been it. In my life, God and country, I guess, has been something that's super important. My grandfather was a World War II vet, and from his education moving forward for me, that was something that was super important. Mm-hmm. Then also grew up on a small family farm. We worked very hard for what we had, and that always was, there wasn't a lot, but what you did have was super important. And you learned to work hard for what you have, and what you do have, enjoy it, cherish it, and get the most you can out of it. So after college, I never thought even banking was going to be something I got into. But I love people. I love helping people. I love just communicating with people and helping people do those things that I was instilled with growing up has been something that I enjoy educating and working with people on as well. So hopefully today I can pass some good ideas on to you guys and, maybe create a conversation about different ways to save money and just get the most out of every dollar that you've earned.
Well, and there's really no better way to help somebody than to improve upon their financial literacy. Financial illiteracy is a huge problem in our country. I've said it before on this show. People know they graduate high school and they know how to find a hypotenuse, but they don't know how a mortgage works. And those are things that, I'm not ragging on hypotenuses. Hypoteni? Is it? I don't know.
I do not know the right term.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching, if you could let us know in the comment section, whether you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitch, first, what is your favorite money saving tip? How do you save money? But also, what is the plural of hypotenuse? Winner gets up to be our best friend for the day. So Matt, let's dive in. So I'm average G.I. Joe listener here. Our constituency for the chamber is very broad, very wide, not necessarily all veterans or military family members. We support our business community. So a lot of business professionals, a lot of business owners. Let's say I decide I need to get my act together. I need to upgrade my financial literacy. I need to save more. I need to be better with money, more money in my pocket. How would you suggest I get started fixing my money situation?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to kind of start that. I think the square of everything, and the first thing you got to do is set a goal. Now that goal needs to challenge you. You need to, raise that bar, but it also needs to be attainable. We talk a lot about goals, and they need to push you, but they can't be impossible either. So first and foremost, set that number. Give yourself a number of, okay, this is what I want to save. This is what my realistic expectation is, and then set a time frame. Are we talking about over the next month? Are we talking about a year? Part of that where I try to be a great saver is because I like to think of the fun things that are going to happen with that. Now, whether it be a family vacation or things like that, and that's going to help you set that time frame. So figuring out what you want to save for and how long you have to save for it, that's going to be our first step. Goals are super important. They keep you on pace, and then you got to stick to it. Hold yourself accountable, and there's going to be times when it's hard and it seems like I can't do this. It's not quite working. It's not adding up. Just kind of staying to it and keep pushing, and eventually you will get there.
Now, you mentioned, I would assume that budgeting is a very important part of this planning process. Oh, and Randy says plural is hypotenuses. Thank you, Randy. You win the prize for the day. Appreciate you. Hypotenuse. I like hypoteni. I'm going to stick with that anyways. I would assume that part of this planning process is budgeting. And budgeting really isn't that hard. The hard part is budget reconciliation, where, I can make a beautiful looking budget, but then at the end of the day, does my spending habits actually align with said budget? And often, and you can tell me if I'm crazy here, but the hidden expenses really sneak up on people in their budgets, and the budgets help them to realize, like, oh goodness, I'm spending a lot of money on blank. Do you advise people then, what's like the thing that you advise them most to cut out to start saving some more money to reconcile that budget goal?
Yeah. So the first part I would recommend on that is thinking about what really do you need? What are needs and what are wants? One thing that I did to really help myself with this is lunch. Going out for lunch on a given day, all of a sudden it's $7, $8, $9, $10, things like that.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
If you can throw a lunch together at home, either the night before or that morning, that's going to really help that. Now, say we're spending $7 a day, 5 days a week, $35 a week, you're putting just towards lunch, which that adds up. We do the math over a year. That's a pretty large amount of savings that you didn't even realize you've been spending. And obviously, you're going to pay for your food. Your grocery bill might go up a little higher, but it's going to be less than $7 a day for your lunch. So that would be one.
It's healthier too, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And some of those leftover meals are the best meals anyway. Way better than fast food. So that was the first part for me. You did touch base on a little bit before about cable, different subscriptions. Try and figure out which ones you actually use. One of the big ones, Netflix, it's relatively affordable and comparative to cable. Obviously, it's going to save you a lot of money. Now, I know a lot of people that I work with, all of a sudden they say, yeah, I have Netflix, Hulu, I've got YouTube TV, I've got HBO.
Disney Plus.
Yeah. How do you watch all those? All right, let's try and cut out a couple of, let's take baby steps. When was the last time you watched, Disney Plus? Let's see if we can cut one of those. And we start taking baby steps and realizing, yeah, I didn't need that. I don't use it. So in that regard, taking baby steps and just trying to cut some of those out.
That makes sense. I mean, and a lot of those, all of those streaming services are just kind of pay as you go. You can cancel anytime. You're not committed to a year or whatever. So, I mean, really, can you watch Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu all at the same time? Probably not. And those things exist to have that content live in perpetuity there. So why don't you have a Netflix binge month and then the next month go to Hulu and get caught up?
Yeah. One thing that I always recommend, and I choose my words carefully with this, but when you create a budget and you create what your goal and expectation realistic budget is, you're trying to get rid of those unnecessary things, but you also have to stay positive. You have to find, for me, I'm going to use the example of the Bucks. Right now we're in the playoffs. I work too hard during the day to not get to watch the Bucks game. So one of my treats is, let's just say, YouTube TV, so I can watch TNT and all these channels that the Bucks are on. For me, that I don't mind cutting lunches because I get to go home and watch the Bucks game, or I get to do this. So finding things that are going to create to stay positive and have fun with it, that's really important as well.
So you wouldn't advise then complete and utter austerity. Like you're saying, yeah, cut stuff out, be smart about what you're using, but you need to give yourself a little bit of a leash there.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to, what's the point if you save all this awesome money, but you're miserable and you're not having fun and what you care about, it's no longer in your life. Then for me, you got to find a happy medium. So cut those things you don't need, but keep the things that you need to stay positive and keep you going in the right direction.
And going in the right direction is really the name of the game, right? I mean, it's you could go from eating out for lunch 5 days a week down to 0, or you could go from 5 down to 2 and pack your lunch 3 days a week. You'll save money, you'll be healthier, and it's a good start.
Correct.
Don't try to jump into the deep end of the pool necessarily. Kid says impulse buying kills a budget. Self-control. Boy, I have a hard time with self-control. I'm a spender. Just by heart, I spend money, and so I had the smartest thing I ever did a couple of years ago was take all of my control over any of the finances and just give it to my wife, who's way smarter than me and way more responsible and way more frugal. I just took everything off my plate, and she does the budgeting. And I mean, I got rid of my check card. I'm not even allowed to do it. I had to place those limits in front of myself, and it was tough at first, but then I eventually got there. What are some other like tactical tips, some tips that you give people to save some money if they feel like they're trying to squeeze water out of a stone here? What are some ways that maybe people haven't thought of that they could save some money?
I've got a handful of ideas, but I'm going to choose one of them that you kind of mentioned on that your check card, your debit card, you don't even have it in your wallet probably right now.
Mm-hmm.
I am a lot like, I guess I'm going to use a non-young guy-esque way here. I don't carry that either. I carry a credit card for emergencies and gas and things like that. but I budget myself to $40 a week. Every week I take $40 cash out, and what I use to do with that $40 is what I do with it. If I don't buy lunch or I don't buy myself anything with that cash, great. And next week I've got 80. And then maybe I take my wife out for dinner, or we do something special. Or if I want it, that keeps me, I set myself a standard of this is how much I can use this week. And that's it. So that's one way that I use to really, it goes a long way for me. Maybe some people, that's not going to work either, but that's just one idea that I use every week.
And that's kind of the Dave Ramsey-ish theory. And Dave Ramsey has become a bit of a polarized figure lately. So obviously no, for or against statements there, but just stating a fact, if you read any of his books, and I remember I did back when I was in the military about, and I can't even remember the name of that first book. If anyone remembers the name of that Dave Ramsey book, that famous one, it's got a pair of scissors on the front of it. Golly, I can't remember the name of that. Kit, Randy, you watching? Still watching? Help me out here. But his thing was carrying around cash in envelopes, and like, you spend that, period. He got rid of his credit cards, and his theory was pay off your smallest debts first, regardless of interest rate. Those are some interesting approaches. Not saying that's what you should do. Not saying that's what Matt or I are advising, but there are creative ways that you can. It's more than just numbers. It's a mindset thing as well. And I think that's what you're saying too. Right.
It's something that you're not going to take. You don't have the card with you. You can't take out another $20. And on top of that, it really does add up. And I know a lot of people out there probably do the same thing with like their quarters and their change they get. But taking all those singles out at the end of the day or at the end of the week, like, okay, all these singles, I'm just going to shove these in an envelope. Now, all of a sudden, that actually adds up pretty quick as well. So different habits like that do add up.
My wife and I have a jar at home that we put any cash in that from things that we might sell on Facebook Marketplace, if we or garage sale, usually Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or anything like that, anything that we might sell person to person at home that we'd get cash for, it just automatically goes in the jar and we don't think about it. And then if we have something big coming up, we say like, oh, should we take a look in the jar? And usually there's just a good chunk in there. We don't even think about it. It just goes in the jar and it doesn't become something that we could potentially spend. So that's a good idea. Good bit of advice. You budget out a certain amount of money and you don't bring your stuff along that allows you to maybe be tempted to spend more. What else you got? You said you had a few ideas.
Yeah, you kind of hit the next one. Paying yourself first, keeping the money out of sight, out of mind. One of the cool parts, I guess, a lot of people, direct deposit. It's good, bad. People like getting the actual check. Direct deposit is a way that you can pay yourself before you get your paycheck. What I mean by that, a couple different habits that I do. So with having like that emergency savings account, you're just trying to build up. There's no really number goal. You're just trying to make a rainy day fund. Pay that account X amount out of every paycheck. So if you're doing, let's just say $100 out of every paycheck, you get paid 26 times a year, $2,600 a year. If you do 50, 25, whatever you decide, setting an amount out of your paycheck to just go in that account. Start with something low, something $20. If you get your paycheck, are you really going to notice that $20 is missing? Maybe not. But that way that $20 is going into a different account. It's not in your everyday checking account. To expand on that a little bit, I always recommend it to people. Say you bank at a bank X and that's where all your accounts are. Maybe at bank Y, create a savings account that you're just shoving money into. It's kind of somewhere else. It's out of sight, out of mind. And then all of a sudden you get a statement and you open it up and it's like, holy cow, that's been adding up. Making it where it's not easy to grasp to get that money out is a great option to kind of do that as well. And in addition to that, certain life expenses come up, certain things, my dad always taught me anything with 2 legs and 4 wheels is going to cost you money. And what I kind of mean with that is with your vehicles, it's inevitable. Something's going to happen. Knock on wood that it doesn't, but it's going to. You're either going to need to buy a new vehicle, repairs. So in mine and my wife's daily budgeting, we make a car payment out of every paycheck. Every check, X amount goes into a separate account, which is covering a car payment. Now, if you have a new car and you're making that car payment, well, yeah, it's just part of your spending. Now, when you finally get to that cool moment where you paid off that vehicle, your budget and your lifestyle has already taken into consideration paying that other account. So now moving forward, you're not making that car payment, but that money's still going to that account. That's going to add up. Now, when you go 5 years from now, that money's been saving. Hopefully, that vehicle lasts. And all of a sudden, you're like, oh, well, I don't want to dip into my savings account to make that down payment or whatever it might be. You've got that money that you've been making that car payment for a down payment, and your lifestyle has already been making that car payment now. So you're good to go. It makes that thing maybe a little less stressful, a little less scary, easier to cope with. So that's one thing that I've noticed that also has helped people a lot.
That's really good thinking. I like that. So let me ask you this. I know that WaterStone in particular, I want to make sure that we talk about WaterStone. I know you have a program that is a series of benefits or perks for veterans and military family members you mentioned open up a separate savings account. Let's say somebody wants to open up savings or checking or do any sort of banking with WaterStone. You said that there are some veteran military family specific perks. I believe you said it was the MVP program. Can you talk about that? Because I think people might be interested in that. Yeah.
So WaterStone Bank and myself does care a lot about our veterans in our community. Now, the bank,
and that's true. Let me just interject. Every company says we care about our troops. We care about our veterans. All right. Every company says it. WaterStone legit gives to our community and supports the veteran community. So he's not blowing smoke. This is legit. WaterStone is a legit contributor and supporter of our community. So I just wanted to put that asterisk there. He's telling the truth.
It is one of those things that's kind of rewarding to work for a company that they walk the walk, but we talk the talk too. We talk the talk, and then the bank actually backs it up by doing things for local organizations. So it is very cool in that regard. I have to give the bank 2 thumbs up on that. Now, in regards to the program, basically what it is, it's MVP program. The meaning is the Military Valor Program. What it is basically a way for customers to kind of take some of that little stressful banking things and just kind of put it off to the side. And what I mean by that is banks sometimes give you that runaround with fees or things like that. For our veterans, there's all that kind of stuff is gone. So when you need a cashier's check, you need any of those sort of services, checks, anything like that, basically all those things are free to you. Some of our customers that really take advantage of it is that we offer free currency conversion. So people, hopefully with the world coming back to a new normal, hopefully people can start traveling again. We do offer free that foreign currency to veterans and their families rather than charging them for that. So that's one of them that people tend to really enjoy. Overdraft protection. Sometimes life happens. We set up free overdraft protection transfers. That way you're not getting those extra fees. And then the other big one too is home equity line of credit. I would imagine in this month, maybe someone has brought those products up. WaterStone Bank refunds all those annual fees for veterans. So and there's more nitty gritty stuff that this program really does to kind of help you out. But those are big ones, and just trying to take some of those things and get them off people's minds in case of in their banking world. So free wire transfers, things like that. Just little ways that the bank tries to say thank you to all the veterans and their families.
Right on. Well, you provided some really good insights, and also I would encourage all of you to check out WaterStone Bank. Just Google search it, WaterStone, one word. Is it waterstone.com?
It's actually WSBonline.com. So
WSBonline.com. I am so glad that I checked. Let me put that on the ticker here. Scroll across the bottom. Look at that. Wait, is it doing it? There you go. Oh, and Randy's here to help too. Randy, you're on it, man. I appreciate it. Good looking website. Well, WaterStone Bank, we're big friends and fans of you guys for sure. Like I said, you really walk the talk when it comes to your support of the military and veteran community. Appreciate you providing those insights today. If somebody wants to follow up with you, what's a good way to reach out to Matt Fischer?
Yeah, a good way, I guess, would probably be email. It's just my name, Matthew Fischer, and then the same thing at WSBonline.com. And then you can find me on LinkedIn as well, Matthew Fischer. Great ways to reach out to me. I'd be happy to come up with different ideas, walk you through some different things like that. I'm always available and always willing to help out.
Right on. And this guy really knows his stuff. Appreciate the insights on saving money. If all of you out there have some additional thoughts on how you save money, some tips, encourage you to either throw it in the comments after the fact so we can discuss it, or search on Facebook for the Wisconsin Veterans Forward Facebook group where we can continue this dialogue. Matt, I'll ask you to hang on the line here for a minute. I really appreciate you. More great information. Money Month is like a grand slam. We're getting a lot of good info. We're talking real estate. We're talking cutting the cable. We're talking crypto. I mean, seriously, we're hitting it all. Just you wait. You know what next month is? Tech Month. Yeah, buddy. But before that, next week we have a very special guest on the show. We're actually going to be joined by U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin, who's going to be discussing the finer points of the American Rescue Plan and how that impacts Wisconsin's economy, individuals, and business owners. So we have a United States Senator. It's going to be on this show. Very excited about that, and we'll be discussing all things American Rescue Plan. So really, it's got a foot in Money Month. Kind of still, even though it's technically June 2nd. But yeah, really appreciate Matt's insights. Really appreciate all of you joining us. And we will see you next week and the week after that and the week after that on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch, 11:30 a.m. Central. Again, my name is Adam. We are the Wisconsin Veterans Chamber of Commerce. We'll see you next time.